Look at that. That is bloody impressive. Right, morning everyone. I've been on holiday, and while I've been on holiday, the guys at the Kent Rad shop record my old radiator, so we can actually put it back in today. Next weekend is VBOA, so I've got literally today and tomorrow to get the car ready for it. And at the moment, we've still got a fairly dodgy paint job on the bonnet, and this rad needs swapping over. So this was my one that I cobbled together just to keep the car going while the other rad was being rebuilt. I say they did it in an amazingly quick time. I was expecting it to take longer. It's good, we know it works. It's kept the car on the road while the other rad has been off, and it will serve as a spare. Nothing wasted there. I've given the engine a good flush out by running it up to temperature. I put some rad flush in it, and then I poured 10 litres of cold water down the bottom hose there and let it pump itself all the way through the engine until it was running out reasonably clear. So we got quite a lot of horrible brown muck out of the engine, and of course the new radiator is clean and ready to go. I haven't got any mains water here, or I'd be putting a hose pipe down it. So what we can do now is just pull out that rad, and then while I'm at it, I'm going to do another little job. The transmission cooler lines that go around there are old steel lines, and I'm going to see if while I'm at it and while I got the rad out and I can get into it, if I can just replace them with Cupronickel. They were my cunning little brackets for holding the radiator in place, which I made on the mill, and they worked brilliantly. In fact, the whole thing worked brilliantly. And if you remember what I did to it, originally there was a spigot there, which I welded up. There was no rad cap in there at all, so I welded that on. I welded closed this spigot, because it was here, and moved it to the side. And these trans coolers, they're externally threaded, but I needed internal threads, so I threaded them. And yes, I did catch all the swarf, so I didn't inject swarf into the freshly rebuilt automatic transmission before anybody says it. Yeah, as a temporary radiator, amazingly successful. Right, let's have a quick look at what we got. Right, so 2 pipes, these 2 sets of brackets, and various clippy type things that hold them together. So let's unclippy type them. Okay, so just like a brake pipe, what we should be able to do now is approximate that out of Cupronickel, and it should go straight back in the car. Sounds easy, doesn't it? So, 1 reel of Cupronickel. Of course, the beauty of this stuff is you can bend it nicely on the car. It makes such a difference, the proper pipe. I fell foul of a dodgy Amazon seller with the brake pipe, and bought what was allegedly Cupronickel brake pipe, and it wasn't. It was copper coloured steel, and it was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful stuff. It's I'm gonna have to, sooner or later, I'm gonna have to redo the brake lines I did on the car, because they're already getting a coat of surface rust on the outside of them. Mind you, it's not cheap. That was about 40 quid, that roll. But then again, a burst line will cost more than that. It's not a full-on brake flare, but it's just enough to stop the pipe shooting off the end, because it's a rubber pipe at that end. Now, because it's bits of long pipe, it will turn into the same as Sideshow Bob and the Rakes. They get caught on everything they can get caught on. That's the pipe run underneath. So now we need to... Right, so I've run the pipe underneath, and it's connected to the gearbox with new rubbers. And it comes around here. This is where we get an opportunity to bend it into the right place. Right, so they're kind of there now, ready to be made up to the radiator. So, if you remember the old or the radiator before, this is the old radiator. I mean, it's just got different innards in it. If you remember it before, okay, so that's why that radiator needs to be recored. It's terrible. It was, all the fins were rotted. It was in a really poor state, and I'd had to solder these trans lines back together. Well, look at that. That is bloody impressive. That is the work of the Kent Rad Shop. In Higham in Rochester, and they have done it in the best traditions of two old boys in a shed. You know, this is what we excel at when we get going. It was a double cord radiator, so it had 2 rows of tubes per. It's now got 3 rows of tubes, so they've triple cored it. All completely new. All of this bit here is completely new, and the tanks are the originals. And they charged me £320. I doubt you could buy these for £320 brand new when they were available brand new, and of course now they are not available brand new or otherwise. You can't get them. And this isn't even the radiator that's used on a Monza, which has a pressurized header tank. This is this is rare amongst rare cars. Every other Monza owner I know has got a radiator with no header tank in it, with no cap in it, because the cap is in the header tank. I am mightily impressed with the job they've done there. I really am. Fits like it was made for the car, because it was. Now, before anyone goes, you've forgotten to put the fan cover on, that's true, I have, but there's method in my madness. I need to be able to get these pipes lined up, cut to length, and the banjos put on them. This is my solution for the banjos. These are banjo fittings, and they have an AN6 male flare on them. So they should fit on there with a nice couple of copper washers. And then to get that onto the pipe, we've got an AN6 female flare. It's also got some adjustment there for lining it up, and in there is an olive and a cap nut. And yes, America, it is an olive. We invented it. It is an olive. It is not a bloody ferrule. So, Richard Trethewey of This Old House, love you to bits, love your show, you've been there forever, you're absolutely wonderful, but it's like chalk on a blackboard every time you call it a ferrule, because it isn't. Then we have a cap nut, olive that compresses, that goes onto the pipe, and then the banjo goes onto that fitting, and the whole thing goes onto the radiator. See, what that's doing is crushing that olive onto the pipe and sealing it. This is now a bit of a juggling act, because you can't get that in there. You have to sort of assemble it on the fly, because it has to slot into the slots on the bottom of the radiator. And it can't do that with the radiator in, so you have to sort of like do it all in little bits and pieces. Yeah, so that's got that slotted into the rad. Now it's a case of getting the rad slotted into all of its mountings. There it goes. interesting, that radiator is actually an angle. I'd never really noticed it before. Now I'm going to do something now that you're going to think is very stupid, but bear with me. The engine has actually got water in it. Certainly anything below the water pump has got water in it. And I'm only going to start it up very briefly, but I want to start it up without any antifreeze in it, because I want to get some trans fluid around those coolers, around these lines, and make sure they're not leaking, because I don't want to go throwing antifreeze in it if the whole shooting match has to come back out again, because that'll be boring. That's good. Right, I've got warm fluid coming through the pipes. I can feel it. Pipes have got warm and there's no leaks. I'll just check underneath for any leaks on the plastic pipes, then we'll drop it down, fill it up. If that was going to leak, it would have leaked. It's under very high pressure.